My presentation is over the sports in England, and it is by me. The first sport we will be discussing is rugby. Rugby is played all throughout England, but is mostly popular in the northern parts of it. The game originated in Yorkshire and Lancashire in the early 1880s. The game came from a school called Rugby School, and in the early 1800s, rugby became a very popular sport and turned into a proper game with a set of rules. The sport is still fairly popular to this day and has a rugby union of 2 million players, registered players, which is the highest in the world. The sport is played in the winter time, and rugby is played with 2 teams. Each team consists of 15 players, and the team tries to carry, pass, or kick the ball into the end zone to score points, and whichever team has the most points after the 2 halves is declared the winner. Another sport we will be discussing in England is association football. This sport is more commonly known as football or soccer, and is played with a spherical ball and 2 teams of 11. Association football is the most popular sport in England and is played from August to May. It has a very long history in England, with games dating back to 1314. There are thousands of clubs that play football to this day, and England's top leagues are the richest in the world. And in 1863, the first modern set of rules were established for this game, and that greatly influenced how the game is played today. The Premier League, also known as the English Premier League, is the top level in the English. It's at the top of the level in the English football system, that's pretty crazy. Another sport we will be discussing is cricket. The origin of cricket is often argued about, but however, many do believe that England is the birthplace of the game. In the early days of cricket, children actually used to play with branches and stones in lieu of ball and stick, and the history of cricket goes all the way back to 1550 AD, with cricket first being mentioned in the year 1598. Lord's Cricket Ground in London is one of the main cricket grounds and is regarded as the spiritual home of cricket. And as you can see in the bottom right, that is the picture of the Lord's Cricket Ground. And cricket is played with 2 teams of 11 and a bat and a ball on a large field, and the field is known as a ground. And I have a little short video.
September the 12th, 2005. England win back the Ashes. After 18 long years, they have finally beaten their oldest rivals, the Australians.
Oh, Biggie.
There was such a huge series, and they say it's one of the greatest test series ever to be played, and to be certainly involved in it was magnificent.
And it really unified the country in a way that probably only sport and occasionally.
So that right there was the game of cricket. Another sport in England, this one was actually very interesting, horse racing. Horse racing is the second largest spectator sport in England, and there are 2 forms of horse racing. There's flat racing, which is run over distances between 5 furlongs, and a furlong is equal to 1/8 of a mile, and 2 miles. This course has no obstacles. And then there's national hunt racing, which is the other form, and these races are run over distances between 2 miles and 4 miles, and the horses there's usually obstacles on this one. There's usually obstacles like the horses have to jump hurdles or fences. And a fun fact, whenever Henry VIII was the King of England from 1509 until his death in 1547, he passed numerous laws relating to breeding horses, and he also imported a large number of stallions and mares for breeding. Horse racing has been contested since the 1780, and the Epsom Derby is the biggest premier flat race in England, but is only open to certain horses like the thoroughbred colts and fillies. And I have another video of some horse racing. And as you will be able to see through this video, they are doing as you can see, this is the flat racing where there is no obstacles or hurdles that the horses have to do.
Traditional English game.
So that is what horse racing in England looks like. We will continue. There are numerous sports that are in the schools in England, and in the state schools on the left you can see there's netball, football, rugby, basketball, tennis, and cricket, along with a few other sports. But then in independent schools you can kind of see there's a different variety of sports such as swimming, fencing, water polo, rowing, lacrosse, cross country, and other things such as that. The history of sports in England. Sports in England play an important role in the English society. Numerous modern sports were actually arranged in England during the 19th century. England has invented more than 10 official sports. The top 10 are association football, rugby, tennis, cricket, table tennis, netball, water polo, rowing, squash, and badminton. Now, when I looked this up, I saw squash, and I was confused as to what squash was. So I actually looked it up, and squash is a racket and ball sport. It appears to be similar to racquetball, but they're very different. The rackets used in squash are longer than what you would use in a racquetball game, and the ball that you use in squash is smaller also. And I have one last video of what squash is. Just kind of gives you a rundown of the sport, how it's played.
People play in England. 40 minutes to have fun, get a great workout and burn loads of calories. In fact, it's been voted the world's healthiest sport. These are the basics to get you started. Ball is played below the top line or outline and above the bottom line, which is also called the tip. Before you start, warm yourself up and the ball. Also, check which ball to play with, depending on your ability. When serving, one foot must be inside the box. The ball must hit between the outline and the service line and land in the opposite quarter. You can return the ball on the bounce or step forward and volley, as long as it stays within the court. After every shot, try to get back to the T-zone. That will give you the best position to cover the next shot. To score a point, you either make the ball impossible to play or force an error from your opponent. And remember, the ball can only bounce once. Once you've played your shot, you must try...
So you guys get the gist of squash. And that is my presentation over the sports in England.